Welcome back. It's been a little bit. Your very loyal president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Wayne Hoffman, joining you now, just to kind of give an updated Hoff time. The last time we did a report was actually a month ago. It was right after the May primary, and Dustin and I got together and talked about how the election turned out. If you haven't watched that episode, I hope you will, or at least read my article about it, because there's still a lot of information out there. That's like me not shaving well enough or something. So I hope everybody ignores that. But we were giving a recap on the outcome of the May election, and again, you can watch that, or you can take a look at the article that I wrote about it. But what I wanted to talk about today are a handful of things. First of all, um, take a look at the last article that I we just posted at IdahoFreedom.org, which is about the fact that there are other states, Florida and Tennessee, namely, that are pushing back against this narrative that kids younger than 5 years old need to be vaccinated against the Rona. It's silly. If you look at just Idaho data, in particular, because that's what we work on is Idaho public policy. There have been two children under the age of 18 who have allegedly died from COVID. I'm not even sure if the two that they've cited are accurate, because we just take their word for it that they died of coronavirus. But for all you know, there's something else that killed them, and they had tested positive for corona, and so therefore they were labeled as having died from coronavirus. Nonetheless, the official record says two children under the age of 18 have died. Well, fast forward to this week, and you've got the states that are rushing to receive doses of the latest mRNA vaccines and give them to kids younger than 5. And Idaho's in that list. In fact, every state in the country requested doses of the COVID 19 vaccine, and for children ages 5 and under. And Idaho is one of them. The only state that did not do it, the only state was Florida.
Florida.
Governor DeSantis in Florida said we're not going to do it, and now you've got legislators in the state of Tennessee who are saying, "Wait a minute, why are we doing this?" And so the House leadership in the state of Tennessee sent a letter to their governor and said, "You should really refrain from promoting, distributing, partaking in getting these vaccines out to youngsters." Now, Idaho, at least so far, doesn't appear to be aggressively promoting the vaccines for children younger than 5, but they are promoting it. The State Department of Health and Welfare put out a notice on social media on Thursday, which said, or I guess Wednesday, which said that the shots are available. It didn't really encourage parents to take part, but it certainly didn't discourage them either. Just provided the information that it's out there. And I suspect if the department and the Little administration hold true to form, what they've done with other vaccines for other age groups is they aggressively release the fact that it's out there and tell people to go and get it. So I'd like to see our state legislators push back a little bit. Don't know if they will or not, but if you're out there watching state legislators, we'd love to see you go and take this on, because there's really no reason. I mean, I'd question, frankly, if in full disclosure, why we're so busy peddling vaccines to adults when clearly the vaccine doesn't seem to be working, and it's not preventing the spread. It's not preventing you from getting it. I'm not really sure what it's there for, but go and get your fifth booster, if you will. Uh, so why we're doing this for kids, I have no idea. So that's something that legislators need to take up, and hope they will soon. The other thing that I wanted to draw attention to as well is this. Kind of put all the old man glasses, I guess. I'm really not that old. I'm 50, which is the new 30, they tell me. But I got this news release this morning from the state education department. Sherry Ibarra's. uh, state education department, and it says free meals available to Idaho children with the summer food service program. And I may or may not write about this in the future, just because I'm talking about it now. But here's Sherry Ybarra in the quote that is attributed to her, but probably was written by her PR staff. This program does so much more than provide healthy meals, making our schools a central hub even during the summer months, keeps Idaho students and families engaged in our educational communities. And as we all know, although our kids are taking a break for summer, hunger certainly does not. Now, there's a lot to unpack in those two sentences, and I'm going to do that right now. First of all, this program does more than provide healthy meals. It also provides meals to students regardless of income. Actually, the program is for everybody. That they say it's for the students with greatest need, but it has no income requirement. Anyone over 18 can receive free meals, no questions asked, according to the news release and based on prior iterations of the same program in previous summers. So, yeah, it's doing more than maybe providing healthy meals. What it's also doing is it's detracting from the local community's efforts to help their communities and friends and family on their own. So, why should a person either donate money to or help at a charity that works to provide meals to people, and they do it in such a way where they're concerned about their ultimate outcomes? It's not here's a meal and go home. Why do you need a meal? Are you poor? Are you destitute? Are you having trouble finding work? What's the issue? And let's go and fix that for you. This program detracts from that kind of charitable giving and caring and humanity that communities need to embrace and be working on. They've turned it into a bureaucracy and nothing more. And then she says, making our schools a central hub even during the summer months, keeps Idaho students and families engaged in our educational communities. Engaged in our educational communities. What is that? You mean the schools, the school districts? So, in other words, it gives the schools, which would ordinarily be closed during the summer, something else to do instead of just educating kids, because that is what the schools are there for, is to educate kids. And ordinarily, for whatever reason, we know there are some historical reasons why kids take off in the summertime, but they're giving them another thing to do to justify their existence. That's what this is. And on top of that, so when they say involvement in the educational communities or engaged in the educational communities, that's what that is saying. They're saying we want to give our school district something new to do. Do you hear the dog in the background? It's like every single time I go do a podcast, the dog decides it's time to start yapping. And I say, dog, stop that, because I'm talking, I'm doing a podcast and people want to hear me. And sometimes, if you're just quiet enough, you can hear the sound of silence. Anyway, back to this news release. So, these programs are reported to be helpful to communities, and they're not. They destroy communities. They actually do the opposite of what they're intending to do. They take away the responsibility of families, caring neighbors, caring churches, charities from doing their jobs to help the people in need. This is just here's a meal, no questions. You should be asking questions. You should be asking why the person is in need of help. So anyway, again, I might write about that if I time permitting. But there's a lot to be said for just how out of control our own state government is right now. Yes, we did have a great election, and maybe that will result in more conservative public policies being passed through the legislature and getting to the governor, and then we'll see what he does with that. But you know, this is not the direction we should be going. What kind of state do we want? Do we want a state where
So you
Um,
gotta hear it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Making
listening
the
to it.
people
I
over.
think the
You can
microphone
watch it on Facebook,
is
but
on at the
he is
office. So you
funny
might hear
today.
people working in the office. Hopefully, they're not giving away trade secrets or something. Um, yeah, Tom asked a great question. Why don't they concentrate on educating children and leave the feeding to others? Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine. Yes, dog. He agrees. I was talking to a friend of mine who was in his late 80s. And I said, what did you guys do when you went to school for lunch program? And there wasn't a lunch program. The moms and dads got together. Mainly it was the moms at that point in time. And they made lunch for their kids. And sometimes they did it, you know, in a work group, as he described it, with other moms. But you didn't have to have a school cafeteria. You didn't have to have a bureaucracy surrounding it. Hey, settle down. It's too much. Oof. Anyway, so yeah, the schools have the. But let me get back to the point I was trying to make. Our government is out of control. We've got 5-year-olds and younger, toddlers, mere babies, who are being subjected to a vaccine without um, real science data, anything backing up the need for it or the efficacy of the vaccines. Yeah, every time, Stanley, every time. Stanley, Stanley, lay down, lay down, lay down. Yeah, lay down. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up. But you've got a state that's promoting these these vaccines for these little ones, and the only reason you can think of is because big pharma or somebody else is benefiting. Hold tight, everyone, because I'm going to do something about this dog, and it's not mean. I'm gonna put him inside. He's outside, tied up right now, and I want to continue this. So bear with me. Come here, you. See, this is Stanley. He's my daughter's dog. He's a lovely guy, but sometimes he's very yappy. I'll be right back. Okay, it's a beautiful summery day in the Coeur d'Alene area. I'm at my daughter's house, and no one's home except the dogs, and so that's what's going on. But anyway, uh, yeah, the schools. I'm sorry, the vaccines are completely ridiculous. There's no reason in the world why young kids should be getting them. Completely unjustified. I was actually listening to NPR. Uh, Forgive me for I have sinned, but I like to listen to NPR because I like to know just how crazy the left is. Like every story when Trump was president, every story was about how terrible, Orange Man bad, truly, which is almost a joke, but it's reality for these people. Every story they could be doing a story on arts and entertainment. It was Man bad. Now that Biden's in the White House, they don't have Orange Man to go after anymore. They have resorted to everything's about race and sex and sexual orientation and the trans this and trans that, and it's just I mean everything is about that, and well, except for they occasionally do stories on the coronavirus, and so yesterday there was a story. I don't remember which show it was on. Doesn't really matter, but they were talking about the vaccines for the kids younger than 5, and the presenter, the host, asked a question about, well, kids really aren't getting, they've not died from the virus, they've not gotten really sick from the virus. As I mentioned earlier, there have been 2 deaths in Idaho since 2020, March 2020. And, the Biden administration people just kind of shrug it off, and they resort to, oh, well, there's this thing called long COVID. And if a kid gets COVID, we don't know if they're going to have some kind of long term repercussions from that. They might have lung or heart issues, blah, blah, blah. I mean, well, they're barely getting it, they're not getting sick from it. And your vaccine doesn't work. So it seems like the numbers are really stacked against you. The narrative is stacked against you. But the media people don't ask questions about it. They just go along with the ride. And if you read any article over the last several days or last few weeks about the availability of this vaccine for children younger than 5, it's all been very positive. It's all been what a wonderful thing this is, and parents who are grateful because they can put a jab in the arm of their 6 month old. It's just crazy. So, if people who pay attention to other news sources and they're actually reading the data and seeing what other medical practitioners, not the AMA and the IMA, have to say, they know there's something wrong. They know there's something wrong with this narrative. Don't really know why they're peddling it. I mean, there are a lot of good theories. I think the most viable theory, of course, is that somebody's getting rich off of it, meaning the pharmaceutical companies are making a ton of money from a new vaccine that they get to tell people they need to get boosters for several and possibly unknown times for the rest of their lives. It's a cash cow. Um, so anyway, that and the summer that's where your government is off track. The government is facilitating this. I'm not talking about the federal government even. I mean, the federal government has its problems, but I'm talking about your own state government is promoting this. And then you have your state government that has interjected itself in the role of churches, charities, communities, friends, neighbors, and providing food to people, no questions asked. Well, they should be asking questions. And unfortunately, their failure to ask questions only exacerbates the problem. The community organizations that could provide help aren't providing help because they've been pushed out of the marketplace by this free thing that doesn't require anything, doesn't require you to sacrifice, doesn't require you to answer questions, it doesn't require you to learn how to cook or budget or reach out to people who can help you with other problems. It just requires you show up and here's your meal, your healthy meal, so we can continue expanding the education bureaucracy, which is not about education anymore. Anyway, I could go on. I want to also invite you to take a look at some of the friends that we have who've been talking to and having some really good conversations about public policy over the last couple of weeks. First, they're just out today. If you haven't checked out Daniel Horowitz's Conservative Review, please do. He's the top dog with the Blaze and does some just fantastic work. And anyway, he did an interview with me. Was that yesterday? I guess it was yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. And I'd like you to check it out and tell me what you think. Also, a couple other friends that we've been talking to and having some really wonderful conversations with, they're also in the form of podcasts. So, IdahoSpeaks.com, great program. Did a podcast with Ed over there a week or so ago, and you might enjoy that one. He asked, "What is this Idaho Freedom Foundation, and who is Wayne Hoffman?" And I assured him that the Freedom Foundation is very interesting. The Wayne Hoffman part, maybe not so much. But I hope you enjoy that program. But check it out. It's IdahoSpeaks.com, and then Water Break. I was on Water Boys program the other day, and it was just a lot of fun. That's the Cross Politic podcast, and yeah, it was really good. Gabe and the guys, all fantastic. And oh, I'm forgetting somebody else. So yeah, check out Cross Politic on. I think you can find them on YouTube. They call it Water Break with the Water Boy. And who else was I? I was at the. Hold on a second, because these guys were good. And in Athol, It's called it's called Three Pastors Walk into a Bar podcast. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun talking to those guys. But also, you can find that on the interwebs. But Three Pastors Walk into a Bar podcast, really good, really a lot of fun, and really enjoying getting out there and meeting with people. Like I said, I've been up in Coeur d'Alene now for about a week. I'm going to be in Boise again for a couple weeks next week. But hope to catch up with you. And if you have any questions about the stuff the Freedom Foundation is working on, we have a lot of stuff coming. I got to tell you, this fall going to be really, really interesting. Really good research being done by our Cracker Jack policy team, and the comms people are putting some really good material together to get that information out to you. So I can't wait. And that's all I have right now. But thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the Hoff Time Report.